For my comparative study, I will be analyzing two movies that represent the action genre. The films that I have chosen are Mission Impossible Fallout, which came out in 2018, directed by Christopher McQuarrie, and the Femme Nikita, that came out in 1990, directed by Luc Besson. Fallout is about the journey of Ethan Hunt and his team to help stop a group of terrorist plans that could set a nuclear attack on certain cities, while Nikita is about a young woman who trains as an assassin from being a felon to find out that love is impossible to connect with her profession. Fallout aims towards a more realistic technique, and Nikita aims towards a more formalist approach. I am choosing these two films to compare the technical improvements for the action genre in each of their respective times. I will also be comparing the differences between males and females and how they're each represented as lead roles in action films. The cultural context I will be discussing are social and technological. The social context will be touching on gender roles and norms in movies, and the technological context will touch on the film's techniques used in each action film. Christopher McQuarrie likes to focus on how filming techniques create an effect on the audience. The Mission Impossible franchise is famously known for the different types of camera shots portrayed throughout the movie. The mise-en-scene aspect that McQuarrie uses adds a real feature to the film due to the production designers who form different spaces and layers for action to grow. Sets of mirrors and walls were used to split the scene and create aspects of the sets to have a narrative perspective to make a dynamic. That type of dynamic that is in a pure and clean environment to give a sense of exposure.
I knew I wanted this sort of this very pure and very clean environment, and a sense that that there was no escape. What I described to the production designer was, I want to feel like a cockroach on the kitchen floor when you walk into this bathroom. All of that created a sense of vulnerability and a sense of exposure in a place that is as private as that.
When speaking of the shot types used, McQuarrie uses a realistic approach, so he puts less attention on the effects of the action shot to get a more real practical reaction from the audience. During a 2015 interview with Film Comment, McQuarrie stated, "Well, the first thing I try to communicate to my crew is that there will be no shaky cam and no rack zooms because those techniques were only used to hide the fact that there is no energy. When you eliminate those gimmicks, you're confronted with the reality of the shot you have in front of you, and 9 times out of 10, you say to yourself, this just isn't working. Then you have to find ways of infusing the shot with energy and excitement and ask yourself what you can do to sustain the shot so that you're not relying on staccato editing." In other words, the realism of the film brings out the emotion of excitement from the viewers. Staccato editing refers to multiple detached shots that have been rapidly cut together, which makes the scene more static. The static feature of a scene emits a formalist approach that ought to be avoided. The use of long shots and realistic props eliminates the idea of formalism. This is just one of the reasons why Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, and Fallout are the top 2 highest ranked movies in the franchise. Another reason why McQuarrie is the first director in franchise history to direct 2 films in a row, as well as the latest film, which is set to be released in 2021. The reason why Tom Cruise and McQuarrie correlate or work well together also has to do with the fact that Tom Cruise is making stunt history by doing all of it by himself. This eliminates the use of falsified stunts with stunt doubles, as well as adds on to the theme of realism. Tom Cruise doing his own stunts attracts more views and more of a positive outcome. McQuarrie's use of the realistic approach brings a new and fresh theme to the action genre. La Femme Nikita was set in France in 1990. Luc Besson set a visionary to make a movie with a girl and a gun. The cliché story of the action that soon became a formality. Instead of continuing the ideal storyline, Luc Besson set a new ideology for the rest of the world by changing the theme into a girl with a gun. For example,
Hey!
There are various moments throughout Nikita that displays the beginning of a new era as women begin taking lead roles in action movies. There is also an evident difference in the development of film techniques.
I'll kill you!
Unlike Mission Impossible, Nikita was very underdeveloped when it came to technological advancements. For example, the background sound and effects created a very formalist approach, almost like if you were to search up a specific sound effect from film class and you copy-paste that into your work. Computerized editing, sound engineering, and definition and picture quality have improved very much over the years. Luc Besson chose to think less of the emotional and intellectual factors of the film and put his efforts towards the aesthetic of the whole film put together, because unlike McCreary, who aims for realism, Besson looks into the stylization. This reason is very evident in a quote that he stated recently in a Revolt interview. "You cannot just look at a painting or just watch cinema. You need to be out there. Art and film should not come before as methods of inspiration than real life. Art is a reflection of that." In a question and answer session with YouTube Space, Luc Besson stated this.
I think you have to define your own honesty. You know, like what's real for you, what's important for you, but for the good reason.
Both of these quotes emphasize why Luc takes more of a formalist approach, as directing and script writing is more of a way for him to express his creativity and ideology into his films and share it with the audience. Besson and McCreary took different approaches to formalism or realism, and this has shown to be evident. The discussion of gender roles is a very important key factor when comparing these two films, as they have a different gender portraying the lead role. Mission Impossible Fallout features Tom Cruise as the leading male character, while La Femme Nikita features Anne Perelade as the leading female character. The leading characters are very different, not because of gender, but because they come from different cultures. Besson is looking towards French culture, which is why Anne Perelade is a French actress, has been cast, and McCreary cast as Tom Cruise, an American actor, because of the American culture. Besson created a new landscapes on how women were portrayed in action films. Instead of being seen as a love interest, they may tend to slow down or affect the male lead emotionally. They were seen as lethal feminine characteristics who can show the same amount of violence than a male can do. Unfortunately, this is not how the ideology was continued. In Nikita was given a makeover to increase her femininity and used those qualities to her advantage leading up to the fight scenes. However, male leads always tend to have a body transformation as well. This is commonly shown in montages that require them to work out and gather research on these topics. The reasoning behind makeovers could also be used to mirror society, as women or girls are more likely to be directed towards makeup or clothing tendencies than men. Meanwhile, men are more likely to be caught up with gym tendencies. Society has deemed the differences between those two gender roles to be opposites, but film portrayal has taken a step in the right direction. Regardless of gender, protagonists are now being displayed in the same light, which is leading to many more leading female protagonists in action movies. Female characters can be described as passive, with the majority working in a team rather than alone. Viewers suggest that this gender norm makes women seem less important and knowledgeable than men. They may need to ask for help when in need. Generally, females are portrayed as attractive and sexual with a suggestive behavior that matches their appearance. Men are portrayed with more power and aggression than females. This ideology has been created by feminine characters dictate a weaker character who just uses their attractive body as their weapons. When comparing violence levels between men and women, men tend to use physical strength, aggression, and weaponry to their advantage, while women use compassion, persuasion, and wit. More contemporary viewers disagree with this conclusion because they feel as if equality should arise whether or not filmmakers lead a formalist or realist approach. These comments seem to be taking their toll on action movies nowadays with many more female leads. Both Tom and Anna committed to an excellent portrayal of their character. Nikita proves to be a violent and independent character once the movie starts. Ethan shows a strong masculine feature that can always depend on his friends to help him in his time of need. Both of these ideas already contrast society gender stereotypes that were mentioned earlier. Instead of Ethan having just male companions, the team introduced a strong feminine lead played by Rebecca Ferguson. She shows to have the same qualities as Nikita and is an equal and match for Ethan. Both characters have a violent, aggressive nature that helps them win fights, but they also let emotions direct their decisions to save their loved ones. McCreary and Besson have portrayed both their characters in an equal sense by relating subtle humor. This subtle humor helps attract a younger target audience that helped with the film's successes.
What are you waiting for? I'm jumping out a window! What do you mean you're jumping out of a... Oh, sorry, I had it in 2D. Good luck!
Each of these characters have a gender-neutral personality, as well as still hold on to their masculine and feminine qualities. This specific ideology entices both the male and female genders to brace each blockbuster and share positive reviews. The use of emotion from characters in both movies creates a stronger effect on the audience. Using the research I gathered, I think it is safe to say that Mission Impossible and La Femme Nikita go against the norms of today's society with the use of technical and social context.